struggle then, and they were just like, no, do your own thing. And actually they were against me setting up my own business.
Okay.
They said, yeah, they knew how hard and stressful it was. So they were just like, go and find a big company and work your way up there. And that's probably quite, there's days when I think, oh, that's quite sensible advice, mum and dad.
Yeah.
But at the time I saw it as them thinking I couldn't do it. So I was just like, right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it now as well. And I'm going to prove you wrong. I know now that wasn't what they were thinking. But so, yeah. And then, so I went to uni. I was really into my sport. When I was younger, I was a swimmer. I did sports science and management. So it was a dual honours degree. Sport because I loved it. I was just so interested in the science behind it. And then management because I thought that if I wanted my own business, I'd probably need management skills. But
can I ask both what sports and which uni?
So I was a swimmer and a water polo player. So I played water polo for the Great Britain junior team, and I was at Loughborough University.
Oh, wow. You must have been very good then. For anyone that watches that might not be up on UK university sport, basically, because I'm a basketball player, and Loughborough is the very top of where, if you're good at a sport, that's where you go to. And it's generally kind of GB kind of level. But generally, it's just from a sports kudos kind of university branding. That's, good bragging rights.
Oh, okay. Thanks for that, Steve. Not many people know that, so I usually just say, "Oh, just Loughborough."
No, but it's when because I still don't know how I ended up doing mechanical engineering. I think I like solving stuff and just getting involved in solving puzzles. But I think mostly it was kind of just to do with cars. But actually, when you go through, if you kind of, I find this funny because I now coach basketball as well. So I kind of, I have guys coming through that are kind of from 16 to, well, I guess all ages, but in that age between 16 and probably 19, a lot of people, especially if they play at a decent level. So I'm part of the kind of Newcastle Eagles wider kind of group.
Oh, that's
a lot
brilliant.
of them are very good, but there's a point where you have to be exceptional to be able to make a career from it. And it's almost, I've often discussed this with my wife. It's that there's a vicious trap in sport between being genuinely world class and being third. So say if you're the third best UK heptathlete behind Jessica Ennis and Katarina Johnson-Thompson, you might never make the Olympics, but you've still spent your entire life doing it. And you also see this in all sports, but it'll be true in kind of Loughborough and swimming and everything.
Totally. And yeah, water polo is probably one of the most underfunded sports certainly in the UK. And if I was a footballer, certainly a male footballer, I'd have done all right. I could have had a career out of it, but there was no money in water polo. And unfortunately, my career kind of ended a bit because I have a rubbish immune system, so I just kept getting ill all the time. Okay. So that was really gutting. That was kind of like my first career. I wanted to go to the Olympics. I wanted to swim in the Olympics or play water polo. So I learned so many lessons that are now relevant to business, sport, such as learning how to lose.
I must say, this interview is going to take a dramatic sports twist that I didn't expect, but I actually like it because one of my future guests, and I haven't actually asked them yet, but I know them pretty well. So it's Paul and Sam Blake that run Newcastle Eagles. So Paul runs the business side of the BBL basketball team, and then Sam runs the community foundation, which is the actual building, and they work with 90 odd schools. But Sam used to be a swimmer, and again Paul was a basketball player. But it's almost it's that the crossovers between determination and lessons that you learn from sport, which are massively applicable to kind of business. And one of the big things that I almost found was that so I was in Scouts growing up, so Beavers, Cubs, Scouts, Venture Scouts, and then I stopped when I went to uni. But it was just it's learning leadership, and one of the best lessons I almost ever got told was that I know what it's like to be both the best basketball player on the team and the worst. And basically, there's nothing worse if you're the worst player on the team to be overlooked and left out and treated badly. And it's, and then vice versa, when you are the best player on the team, looking out for the other players and bringing them through. And I think it's often, there'll be a lot of lessons that I imagine that you learn in swimming and water polo that you bring to business now with your team.
Totally. There's so much relevant, more so than anything I learned in academia. I did a management degree, but rarely do I apply theories that were drafted up thousands, hundreds of years ago. Whereas, immediately you're in a team situation, like you're saying, how to inspire people, how to motivate people, how to pick someone up when they're down, and vice versa sometimes. Again, that determination, that resilience to keep getting back up if you have suffered a defeat or you're injured or you're ill. So yeah, I think anyone who's looking to get into business, maybe get into sport first or get into sport while you're growing up.
See, where this has also been a strange twist is one of my guests for Thursday is a guy called Joe Mafosa, who's a professional boxer.
Yes.
And I went to see Joe before lockdown. He fought at Newcastle Eagles against Small World. And actually, I was sat in front of Martin, who was my last guest. So it's a very kind of small world. But again, I'm going to ask him that because one of the questions I'm going to be asking Joe is actually his story goes all the way from GB boxing all the way through. So he used to train in Sheffield where I went to uni. But then, life after boxing, what does he want to get into? Is it business, that kind of thing? Because I do think there's a lot of crossovers.